YouTube, it's Tone back with another one for you. This one you were gonna like. This is the fourth video. What's it called? The nature of a remedy. So we're going over, the different aspects of how the justice system is essentially commercial, ultimately and literally, and how that correlates toward you being able to get a refund from all of the credits of yours that are used in order to initiate the case initially, and then to create the bonds behind it and the commercial value and everything like that, and how that correlates to a tax return, how that works that way. And then so I'm breaking all this down for you so that way this can make sense for you, because nobody's ever gonna fucking break it down like this for you. So we started at the beginning, breaking it down how everything is commercial and why that would be a tax issue, and then this is what you would do to follow up in order to get your refund. So this is a way. There is no the way. Nobody has the way. There is different ways. This is a way. All right, just so you know. So if you heard something different and then you saw this, because I know what it's like in the beginning when you first start hearing different people's processes, and then one might seem different than the other, making you think that what you initially thought is wrong and all that, but that's not what the case is. The case is this: is that there's just principles and what do you call it? The fundamentals. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to commerce in general. So that's what you're going to be looking for. It's not necessarily a particular process, but it's processes that are in line with the fundamental structures of how commerce works. So, I'm just saying that so you don't think that you ever hear something that sounds different and that it may be wrong. When you understand what this all really is, and what it all really is it's a trust action ultimately, right? So these people are bringing you essentially a gift from you to you, but it's coming from their hand, so it looks like something else. And then throughout the process, they're going to try their best to convince you to become the trustee so they can become the beneficiary, when in all reality, it was the other way around until you thought otherwise. Regardless of how you even came to believe that, whether they told you that and you chose to believe it or whatever, it doesn't matter. The fact is that you believed it, so you played out your role accordingly, and so didn't they. You know what I mean? But at any point that you figure out the game, you can go ahead and get all your shit back. So this is what we're going to talk about right here. So you get into the 1096. I don't even know why this is first, but it did come up first in the in the slides that I just put. This shit should really be last, because this is the thing that you're gonna put last. The 1096 is gonna go last. This is like a cover sheet for all of your documentation that you're gonna be filing. So what is it, like the 1040, the OID, and then proof of the fact that you got in contact with them and you tried your best in order to get them to comply with the tax issue at hand. Whether or not they were able to comply actually or not is besides the point. The fact of the matter is this: is that that there's a loose end on your end when it comes to the book. So you're gonna go ahead and correct that, and then just let the courts figure out what they're gonna do about it afterward. But that shit is not your problem. But ultimately, this 1096 is gonna serve as your federal income tax withheld. So what you're gonna see here in the top, filer's name, it's gonna be yours. Working your way down, the name of person to contact is gonna be yourself. Naturally, if you're the one filing, right? Employer identification, that's your social with no dashes. That's your EIN exemption number. Social Security with dashes, that is your social that you use for credit. So you can use your EIN, which is your employer identification number, and keep this in mind, because every time, and so your social security actually operates as that as well. So everybody that you've ever given your social security number to, you have employed them. Otherwise, why would they fucking need that? You know what I'm saying? So you actually fucking employed everybody that you ever gave that social to, and I promise if you go rip their books open, you're gonna see that they were dipping into your fucking estate. Guaranteed. Otherwise, why would they need it otherwise? So then, other than that, the total number of forms that you're gonna see over to the right of your social security, total number of forms is going to equal the amount of forms that are included in this whole document here. You see, and then the total amount is going to go here in the federal income tax withheld. Total amount reported in this form 1096, that's going to be the total amount of all the forms together. So if there's 3 different bonds that equal to the 6 million, then you're going to have to, so then your number should correlate to how many forms are there. Then you're going to check off which forms that you're putting in there. The OID's here. You know, if you did a 1099A, you're going to do that. 1099C, because you could have, you know, you could have took it upon yourself and went ahead and did a 1099A and C on the actual criminal case itself, and then went ahead and discharged it that way, and then did an OID on it to go ahead and correct the status of the transaction as far as you being the original issuer. That's what the OID is, original issuer discount. What you're doing is discounting their accounting. You know what I'm saying? Because they're the ones that are counting. It's not you. And if you don't really agree to it, you can go ahead and cancel that 1099A, 1099C, 1099 OID. If you want to claim any instruments as cash, you're going to do the 1099B. Okay. So if somebody sent, you know, if you were doing like this as your books and you wanted to go ahead and, you know, somebody sent you a 1099A, you wanted to take it as a check, you would go ahead and report that as cash. That would be on a 1099B. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So let's move on to the next slide. Move on to the next slide. So right here, this is the OID. So this is going to be your best estimate or guesstimate as to how much the value of the case actually is, because I highly doubt that they're ever going to put the actual shit on paper and fucking tell you what it is. Because then they're essentially fucking admitting to knowing what the fuck that they're doing, and then they could never do it again. You know what I'm saying? They'd have to do a fake death and create another character and pull up on you on another side of the courthouse. That's all that they would do anyway. You know what I mean? That's all that they would do anyway. A fake death, a new fucking name, and show up as a judge in a fucking other state. That's all it would be. So, anyway, but make them fucking do it. Fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Make them fucking do it. So you know, you're going to put your best estimate, guesstimate of what it is here. And that's going to be the OID. That's going to be you stating yourself as the original issuer of the instrument. So the description in the box is going to look the same as it would if you did a 1099A and C prior to this. It's going to go right in the same box. Appearance bond here, case number, the state of, and all that. You can only fit so much when you're doing it online too, and that's the best way to do it too, is online. But there's only so much that you can fit in there when you're typing it in online. So make sure you can just make it you know, get as much information in there, making reference to the actual bond and things like that. And the case number is going to be the account number. Even though they got the social security number here, I will go ahead and use the case number as the account number, because that would be the QSIP. Case number is going to be the QSIP account number. So here on the 1040, this is your individual income tax return. This is you getting your return on it because they used your credit to create the case initially. Now the case is done, whether it's because it's the end of the case and the fucking maturity, it reached maturity and you got out of jail or whatever, or if midway through you decided to cancel it with 1099A, 1099C, the case is canceled now, you're going to head and claim that whole shit as a return because that shit is yours anyway. Because it was all in your benefit. It was all done for your benefit. Ask them. Make sure it was done in your benefit. Because why else would it be done anyway? So, yeah. So right here, it looks like they gave the dude a $50,000. They gave him a $50,000 tip on it. Because you got to keep in mind too that when the IRS gets all this shit, they're gonna get ahead and punch this in. These motherfuckers are gonna get that bill. So he went ahead and gave him an extra 50 grand tip. Because you can do that too if you want. You know, since they already got your case open, they got your social, they got your whole fucking estate ripped open. You can give them whatever you want now. They're not really gonna fucking get it because they're gonna have to pay that bill before they ever see that. But you know, if they didn't already cash it in, because I would imagine too that they already cashed it in too on the private side of their bank and already got that check. But anyway, here, so the dude put $50,000 on line 7 as wages, salaries, and tips. So he tipped them an extra 50 grand. So they're gonna get taxed on that 50 grand on top of everything else. So because you can add on whatever you want. When you realize who it is that you are, you just make the books reflect whatever your wishes are. And so here down at the bottom, you see at 21, the other income, list the types of income, see attachment. So you're gonna, because you're gonna have everything inside the folder too as well when you go send it in, when you send the return it. And then so the value is gonna be 6,125,000, right? So that's your best estimate or guesstimate, right? And then you can go ahead and tack on whatever you feel like you need to get to on top of that. And they say they want you to be reasonable, but are they reasonable when they fucking throw the cuffs on you and throw you in the cage and shit? but they want you to be reasonable when you start putting numbers down on paper for them to pay you. Shit is crazy, right? So amount from line 37. So still here you got the 6,006,175. Now the number's coming up. Now this is taxable income, and this is going to be taxable income for the people that received the benefit, because they already did, didn't they? So that's going to be taxable income. That's all going to qualify as that. And it is income to them because it's all profit, because they had nothing to fucking do with the creation of it, aside from the fact that they tricked you into it. So that is all profit for them. That would be taxable income. Unless they want to call it labor because they had to fucking write, because they had to sign a name on a piece of paper. So here you're going to have the incomes listed here. Line 21 is other income from issues still being held by the recipient. So they still got the bonds, and they're still making money on them. So this is what you're letting them know here at the IRS what it is. And the appearance bond is going to be here. Criminal case number is going to be right there, right? And the rest of the bonds are going to go here. So that's for each for each case that you have going on there, and for each charge as well, because each charge is going to have its own. It's going to have its own value and all that. So here is a sample letter that can be used by any railroaded prisoner with the assumed charges to challenge the detainer holding you in prison. This letter seeks certain information from the point where the derivatives assume and attach the credit of the particular Social Security number on the residential roll. Their failure to respond results in the 1099 OID being filed with the county attorney, where prosecutor being the payer, and the county prosecutor of the prison location becoming the recipient of the 1099 OID federal tax form. The eligible issue in this case is the appearance bond established at arraignment. In some cases, this will also be needed to establish your claim on the eligible issue. In some cases, the payer and recipient are the same party. So, and that's if they, if they just went ahead and paid themselves with it, acted as your trustee, and then deposit that shit into their own shit. So a federal tax form 1040 or 1040X will also be needed to establish your claim on the eligible issue. As usual, your own Social Security number will be in the account number box on the 1099 OID, and the corrected box should always be checked to prevent any identity theft. Now, if they made the bond in your Social Security number, then maybe it should go there. So, and I mean, there's different ways to get this shit done too, so keep that in mind. But you're gonna, the only way that it won't work is if you don't fucking try. That's a guaranteed way that the shit will never work for you. If you don't try. And fuck all them pussies talking about that the shit doesn't work. The shit works. So, dear Mr. Beal, as shown my address above, I am currently reading in Nelsonville. I am inquiring to determine if my name and Social Security number, XYZ, is on the roll of that residential unit. If this not be the same case, then where it is listed to comply with cemetery laws and are overseen by the U.S. Marshal Service, making it a federal matter. This information is needed to determine the state, federal, and municipal taxes for my account. If you so choose to withhold this information from me, then your name is eligible to appear on the 1099 OID federal tax form as a recipient of the appearance bond set to me on my arraignment. The enclosed 1099 OID will be deemed correct for filing if you do not hear from you within 10 days. Thank you for your prompt attention to this urgent matter. And then you're going to have your certificate of mailing is going to be stamped by the, I would use a notary, but you can just use any witness really. Go ahead and put a $1 stamp on that and cancel that 45 degrees. So, these are some of the things that you can do. We're going to get into some more options that you may have in the next slide. But obviously there's more to it. You're going to have to